need a good school with an international standard education and a facility that will nurture your child, give them the right foundation to be great in future. And that's why I want to introduce to you Metro Gold Schools. Yeah, Metro Gold Schools has a modern facility and a very serene environment, very conducive for learning. There's boarding facilities, a tennis court, basketball court, swimming pool, and an AstroTurf pitch. Yeah, we're talking holistic education here. Admission is actually ongoing for Cambridge education. The school starts from crèche, grade 9, and children from age 3 months to 14 years. The September intake starts now. In fact, schools start on the 10th of September. So why don't you speak to the team at Metro Gold Schools and enroll your child? Call them on 0548 050 108. That's 0548 050 108. You can also visit the website www.mgs.edu.gh for admission details. Metro Gold Schools, your child deserves quality education. So I told you earlier about Adventures in African Industrialization, written by engineer Kwasi Poku. A testament of the role played by President J. Kufuor's PSI for palm oil and highlights of experiences in Liberia. Yeah. Now it's launching this Friday at the Ghana Institute of Engineering, Roman Ridge. The special guest of honor is ex-president John Adekum Kufuor. The chairman is Dasibre Nana Dr. Nano Tuosirbo, Omahini of the Jabin traditional area. And I thought it would be good to know a bit more about it from the writer, the author, engineer Kwasi Poku. And he's here to tell us a bit about it. Welcome, Uncle. How are you?
Lexis.
I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to your people.
Yes.
I'm a big fan, and from far away, but I'm a big fan.
That's good to know. That's a good.
Yeah,
that's so
and,
good to know.
A good afternoon to your listeners.
So happy to have you here, and of course to talk about your book. In fact, does it coincide with your birthday?
Yes,
it does.
Actually, my birthday is 25th of July. But for scheduling purposes, launch, I had to postpone the celebration of my birthday.
This is to commemorate the birthday.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Is it your 25th birthday?
Yeah, it is a little bit more than.
A little more than that,
wow.
I
think it's closer to my 80th.
Wow.
And the book is to give an account of what I've done with that miserable 80 years.
Well, it looks like you've done a lot. From the little bit of that I've heard about the book. I understand it provides a unique perspective on food processing industries in Africa, specifically Ghana, Liberia, and all. Tell me a bit about it.
Well, I am, I'm a chemical engineer by profession, and I've done a lot of work in the vegetable oils and fats industry, and basically agro-industrial development. But I've also done a lot of work with the donor institutions, the multilaterals and the bilaterals, in developing strategic programs and projects in the food industry. I work with the ministries in Liberia. In Liberia, they had a strategy to try to push industry to the rural areas.
Okay.
And they were going to do it through tree crops.
Okay.
And then you intercrop with the short cycle food crops. And that's what I was engaged in Liberia.
Wow.
Then I came back to Ghana, and we picked it up from there.
I see the president, at the time, President Kufuor, was quite very keen on oil palm.
Yes.
In fact, under his president's special initiatives, it was one of the things that he was focusing on. Why was he so keen on it?
President Kufuor understood what we meant by strategic management of industrial development. Industrial development is something you do over the long term. And you need to build the building blocks, for doing it. And the ultimate, if we're going to build internationally competitive industries, they have to be, you know, of such a scale that it pulls a lot of other subsidiary or complementary industries with it. So the oil palm, in producing the oil palm and taking it to the tertiary products instead of stopping at the raw materials, you go to making consumer products. So you look at the raw material as more like a capital good that you need to transform through manufacturing into tertiary products that, you know, the international community can consume.
Okay.
So we need to transform our agricultural raw materials into food so that we can feed ourselves and share the balance with the rest of the world. So, you know, we have to get away from thinking so small for agriculture. If we're going to help farmers, then we've got to create wealth for them, you know, at the grassroots level, and also create the market demand pool for these industries.
Okay.
And wanted to show a model how you do this with a PSI oil palm.
Okay.
Now, we also want to concretize in real terms what the president meant by his agenda items, you know, that he announced to the nation on his inaugural parliamentary address. He said that 5 key things that he wanted to accomplish: good governance, modernization of agriculture, private sector development, human resource development, and infrastructure. The way you encapsulate all of this was to do that strategic, you know, industry, develop one that pulls all these things together. You're using the private sector to create those industries, you know, but the government acts as a venture capitalist, providing the long-term funds that can be used to nurture, you know, these small ones and to then grow them into international competitive industries.
What are some of the achievements of the PSI, if you can recall any?
Well, you know, we managed to establish a few things. One, we needed to popularize the idea of, you know, building a strategic industry like palm oil, so we can diversify away from cocoa and create a complementary product. Now, the upshot of what we did was that in a short space of 4 years, we managed to plant another 40,000 hectares of oil palm, you know, plantations around the country. It translates to about 100,000 acres of new oil palm plantings around the Ghanaian-owned oil mills, like Jabin Oil Mills, Ayim Oil Mills, Obuoma, Adanse. You know, we managed to cluster around them at least another 100,000 hectares. That 100,000 hectares, the 40,000 hectares, was going to give us about 160 or so thousand metric tons of palm oil, which, coupled with the existing outputs, could, you know, satisfy the local demand for palm oil, which can be transformed to the soaps and other related tertiary products.
Okay, good.
But we integrated a lot of these Ghana-owned processing facilities to upscale their capacity from the 1 ton. You know, if you get to the level where they are doing about 15 tons of fruits per hour, the byproducts, the fiber and the shells of the palm kernels and the fruit bunches, you can actually use that as biomass to fire a boiler.
Okay.
That then uses the steam, the high pressure steam, to generate electricity that can take over what the company needs at any one time and put a surplus of the electricity into the community.
Okay.
Now, in Jabin, for instance, what happened was that when they upscaled to the 15 tons, they reduce their operating cost because now they no longer are paying for electricity and all of that. They are self-sufficient in power generation, and the longer they run, the more the people benefited.
Yeah.
So they had an interest to go to 24-hour production rather than stay in at the low capacities. Then, they integrated forward to the refining, so that we could now substitute imported, for the imported vegetable cooking oils, both as a red oil, which is non-substitutable in our diets, and also the refined ones, which then could give us that.
That's great. And you put it all in this book, Adventures in African Industrialization.
Yes.
What really are some of the lessons we will take from this book if we see it?
In order to we try to follow the example of Malaysia, where Malaysia used palm oil, decided that they're going to use it as a means of leapfrogging technology to internalize the production of machines that you need to process your things to tertiary consumer products. Now, the relationship between the private and the public sector in industrial development is something that is missing in Ghana. The role of the government in the productive sector, is too overbearing. It's so much that, most of the industries we established, even as state-owned enterprises, when they made money, that money went to the consolidated fund. It was not available for them to reinvest to improve their own technological inputs, or to take advantage of new technological developments. And therefore, they become very quickly uncompetitive.
Okay.
Yes? And because the money has to go to the consolidated fund to be redistributed by the parliament or the Minister of Finance, it stuntifies the growth.
Okay.
Like Cocoa Board, for instance, could do a lot more in developing could have developed the oil palm industry as a responsibility, that it complements the cocoa in terms of making the chocolates and cosmetics and that. So, but all the profits that cocoa makes is used to pay civil servants.
Yeah.
And civil servants don't see that their effort should be to promote the private sector to compete with the rest of the world and not internal competition.
Okay.
And we have to link it to also the infrastructure, because when we are making use of the land that is opened up by the road, then we can use the people who are using the road for farming and those other activities to pay the loan rather than having to tax somebody that is not using that road to go and put in the government's coffer that it uses to pay for what they call it, statutory funds.
Right. This is exciting, and it's on Friday. We're launching on Friday.
Yeah.
The Ghana Institute of Engineering, Roman Ridge.
Yes.
I know the special guest of honor is ex-president John Ajekum Kufuor,
Yes.
and the chairman is Dasebre Dr. Nana Otosrebo, the Manhining of Jabbing.
That's right.
That'll be great. And who's invited though?
Everybody.
Everybody's invited?
Yes. I want you newspaper people, people in the media, to champion the cause of the private sector and to try to promote specifically the government acting as a venture capitalist and sharing profit with the private sector rather than just focusing on taxing the private sector. You don't leave them to go and find their money at high cost to come and do something to be competitive, and then you tax them.
Yeah.
What we wanted to establish with the PSI was that the PSI was going to be a venture capitalist that invests in private sector people in the value chain. And we invest it as not as a government giveaway, but as a shareholding with the private sector.
Okay.
So the government makes its money as an investor with the private sector rather than just being a taxer of the private sector.
This is great. Engineer Kwasi Poku, thank you so much. I'm happy that you came by today, and we'll see you on Friday at the Institute of Engineering for the book launch. Yeah?
I want to thank you,
Congratulations. This Friday, please let's meet at the Ghana Institute of Engineering. I know a lot of people, somebody sent me a message that they want to get in touch with you. So let's meet Engineer Kwasi Poku at the Ghana Institute of Engineering this Friday at 3 p.m., okay, for the launch of the book, Adventures in African Industrialization.